When I left India at 17, I thought I understood what I was leaving behind. I knew I was leaving my home, my family, and the place where I had grown up. But I don't think I really understood what that meant until I arrived in Australia. The first thing I missed was my mother and father. I missed them terribly. When you are young, you don't always think about how much comfort there is in simply knowing your parents are nearby. If something goes wrong, you can talk to them. If you're lonely, there is someone there. Even hearing your mother's voice can make things feel better. But suddenly, my mother wasn't in the next room or just down the road. She was thousands of miles away. And in those days, keeping in touch wasn't like it is today. There were no mobile phones, there was no internet, there were no video calls. Even an ordinary telephone call could cost a lot of money. So you couldn't just pick up the phone every time you were feeling homesick. And I was homesick. I had left my parents behind, but I had also left all my siblings behind. My whole immediate family was still in India. I had gone from being surrounded by family to suddenly being very far away from all of them. That was probably the hardest part. But I didn't just miss my family. I missed the closeness of the people around us. We lived in a compound in Agra. Our house was very small, but I remember it as home. And around us were other families. People knew each other. People visited each other. There was always that feeling that someone was nearby. Weekends especially were visiting days. We didn't make appointments with each other. There were no formal invitations. You simply landed up at someone's house, or somebody landed up at yours. That was normal. You might sit around talking, have something to eat, catch up on what everyone was doing, and then go home again. It wasn't complicated. And I think that's something I missed very much after moving to Australia. It wasn't only the people themselves, it was the ease of being around people you knew. You didn't have to organize everything. You didn't have to wonder whether you were imposing. People just came. Family life was quite simple too. Birthdays weren't big celebrations in our house. There weren't piles of presents or large birthday cakes. Most of the time, a birthday was simply another day. We might make a nice dinner for the family, and that was enough. Looking back, I think there was something very comforting about that simplicity. It wasn't about buying things or putting on a big celebration. It was about being together. Food was another thing I missed. My father was a very good cook. One of the meals I remember especially was his ball curry with yellow rice. We often had it on weekends, and when you move to another country, food becomes much more than food. A familiar smell or a familiar taste can suddenly take you straight back home. At the time, I probably never thought much about my father's cooking. It was just part of everyday life. But once it wasn't there anymore, I realized how much I missed it. That's the strange thing about leaving home. Sometimes it's not the big things you miss first. It's the things you barely noticed while you had them. A meal, someone dropping in, hearing voices in another room, knowing your family is close. In Australia, the distance made everything feel harder. Back in India, if someone you loved wasn't in the house, they were usually nearby. In Australia, my family wasn't around the corner. They weren't in another suburb. They were thousands of miles away. And I also didn't know many people when I first arrived. That made the loneliness worse. When you move to another country as a young person, you have to start again in ways you don't always expect. You have to learn how people live. You have to get used to different ways of doing things. You have to find your own place. And while all of that is happening, there are moments when you would give anything just to sit in your old home again and hear familiar voices around you. I did have cousins in Australia, but they lived about 10 hours drive away. We would visit them perhaps every 6 months or so. Those visits meant a lot because there was something familiar there. You were with people who understood where you came from. But 10 hours away is still a long way. It wasn't the same as having family close by. Over time, of course, life moved on. I worked, I studied. I had opportunities in Australia that helped me move forward with my life. And gradually, Australia became home too. But I don't think India ever completely stopped being home. 7 years after I left, I returned to India for the first time. And I still remember that feeling. I was going home. My whole family was still there. My parents were there, my siblings were there, the people I loved were there. So yes, India still felt like home. But I had changed. 7 years is a long time when you leave at 17. In Australia, I had been given the opportunity to work and to study. I had learned to stand on my own feet. I had grown up. So I returned to India as the same person in some ways, but in other ways I was very different from the girl who had left. And I think that's something many migrants understand. You can return to the place you came from and love it just as much as you ever did, but you are no longer exactly the person who left. Today, I am 68 years old. There will always be a part of India in my heart. I still have friends there and I miss them. I still think about the life I knew there. I still remember the little house, the people in the compound, the weekends when people simply turned up at each other's homes, and my father's cooking. But getting older changes the way you feel about going back. The urge isn't as strong now. My immediate family is no longer there, and that changes what home means. I think when I was younger, India was home because the people I loved were there. Now, the memories are what remain. And perhaps that's what I've come to understand after all these years. Home isn't always one place. Sometimes home is a tiny house in Agra. Sometimes it's a country thousands of miles away where you build a new life. And sometimes home is simply the people, the food, the voices, and the memories that stay with you wherever you go. India will always be part of my story, and no matter how many years pass, there will always be a little piece of it that feels like home.